Hello and happy Monday. Welcome to another Communicate Great podcast where we teach you tips and tricks to level up your communication in your professional and personal life. I'm Emma Roy.
And I'm Traci Poe.
I am having a little bit of a cold, so I kind of sound gross. And then also, we're in the middle of turning this room into an office. So if you see behind me all the weird things on the walls, just that's why. Traci, how are you doing? How has your week been going? How are you? How's your weekend? How's everything? How's life?
It's good.
Good.
We've been having some really good contacts lately in our Communicate Great. So
Yeah.
we always love that. We always love connecting with people and sharing things to help others level up their communication.
Yeah, we actually have a few guests coming on for
Excited.
the following week. So we're really excited about that. Stay tuned. You're going to hear from a lot of different people and just their stories and what they do and what they feel passionate about. And I just think it's so cool that we can all get together and talk about it and share our story with others. So for the last few weeks, we've been doing the love languages. I almost said days. We've been doing the love languages, and this is actually our last one because tomorrow is Valentine's Day. Hope everyone is excited, and I hope all the men are prepared and ready, and they're on it.
Sometimes it's the women. Sometimes it's the women. I have some good friends where he's the romantic and she is not. So
yeah,
just saying.
So hey, I think both people deserve to be spoiled. I have some surprises for my husband that I'm excited about that I got to get on, and I'm gonna do little like chocolate covered strawberries and like decorate them all cute. Anyways, he loves them, but. With tomorrow being Valentine's Day, it's the perfect time to do the last love language, which is physical touch. This one, I'm kind of going to let Traci take it by the horns because it is my absolute last one. I'm at 6% for physical touch. So I will let Traci take it away.
So it's interesting. Thank you for saying where you are. My primary used to be physical touch and quality time, and somewhere along the way, mine has dropped toward the bottom as well. So that's very interesting. I'm guessing Andrew's is pretty high. Is it?
Yes. He was actually a really well-rounded, well-balanced one. Like all of his percentages were kind of close to each other. So I feel like all 5 of the love languages, maybe I think the last one I believe was receiving gifts. He's not really a gift getter. It's like if you get him something, he'll love it and appreciate it. But there are other ways to like show that you love him or care about him.
Yeah.
So, but all the other 4, I think were all pretty close in percentages, kind of close together. So yeah,
Interesting.
He is a PDA person, and I am not.
He is a PDA person,
He is.
and as your mom,
no, I mean, he just, and you know, I feel like if it were anyone else, if he weren't my husband, I would not play the reindeer games,
right?
You know,
yeah.
But he has, I think. Even with my love language being at 6%, I feel like it used to be maybe at 1% because I feel like he really has grown me in physical touch. Like I used to just flip out if he'd put his arm around me, not because like I'm not like a touchy person. Like keep your hands to yourself. But now it's like, oh, I'll hold his hand, I'll hug him, public or private. You know what I mean? Like he really has made me a lot more of a physically touching person. And that's sad because I'm only at 6%.
Well, but you don't like, punch him in the gut and say, get away from me. So that's good, right?
Never. No.
Okay. So just to kind of recap, if you haven't been listening to this series on the five love languages, Dr. Gary Chapman years ago, he's a counselor, and he started noticing with his sessions that people did not give and receive love in the same way. I have a fur baby guest that just hopped up next to me. So anyhow, so people with different personalities give and receive love differently, right? And so he went through his notes and kind of narrowed it down to 5 categories. And so we've talked about those, and Emma, help me if I forget any, but we started with acts of service, and then we
Mm-hmm.
talked about words of affirmation, and then we talked about receiving gifts. Is that right? And then last week we talked about quality
Yes.
time.
Yes.
So yes, this is number 5, and it is physical touch. And so I just want to call this one skin to skin. So that I've kind of summarized each of them through this series. And if you have not listened to them, go back and catch the ones you have not listened to.
Yes, definitely.
So skin to skin. Now, people might think the obvious ones are sex, kissing, hugging, but it's also more of things, little things like little gestures. You know, we talked about the giving and receiving gifts and how it doesn't have to be a car. It doesn't have to be something luxurious. It can be a
Right.
small thing. It can be a free thing, right?
It can be a back scratch. It doesn't
E-
necessarily have to be sex. It can be, but it can be just
exactly.
like a back scratch or just like holding hands and you're like playing with their thumb. You know, I don't know, just something
No,
sweet.
exactly. So it's the little things that count as well, those little gestures.
Yeah.
So my husband's higher up with the physical touch, and even though I'm lower, I still appreciate when he touches me. So maybe the fact that I was higher in that is still lurking in there somewhere. But sometimes he'll just walk past me and he'll just stick his hand out and just kind of rub across the small of my back as he's just walking past, right? Nothing,
Mhm.
nothing intended, nothing insinuated, just he just reaches out and touches me. And it's always like, oh, well, that was nice. So whether your primary love language is physical touch or not, babies when they're born, you hold them, there's that skin to skin contact, and so oxytocin is what's released when there is that touching. And so it's not, again, it's not about physical intimacy. It's really about the touch that's bonding us together, if that makes sense. So, you know, another little gesture that you can have is just sitting side by side where you're so close that your arms are touching. Like that's one of my favorite things to do, is just sit next to my husband where we're just not on top of each other, but our arms are touching, and it just feels kind of cuddly and cozy. So it can be smaller gestures like that. You know, just the tussling of the hair if it's your child and their love language is physical touch. So think small, think grand, right? There's everything in between to speak the love language of somebody who has that physical touch that is a need, a desire for them, if that makes sense. So, Emma, do you have any things to add before I go into the cautions of this one?
No, I was just gonna laugh because I'm not physical touch, but when you were just like talking about just like the skin to skin and the oxytocin, it
Mm-hmm.
does make me laugh because whenever we sleep, we have to like
Mm-hmm.
I have to be touching him in some way. Like last night we fell asleep holding hands. Just I don't know why. He's that
Mm-hmm.
way too. Like it's not just me. If I turn
Right.
and I'm like facing opposite direction, he will literally just like put his arm on my shoulder. And so it's just
Yeah.
like it makes sense just releasing what it does is because like it's
Mm-hmm.
so cozy and it's snuggly and so it's like
Mm-hmm.
I always joke about it because even if like our feet are on top of each
Mm-hmm.
but yeah.
So going back last week when we talked about quality time, and we said, you know, if you can't spend an hour or whatever every day with your significant other or your children or whoever you're close to, at least 15 minutes of quality time, you know, uninterrupted. So I would say with physical touch, just make sure that you have, and if you don't, you know, if somebody's leaving the home and you're just around each other in the morning, and like just make sure before that person walks out the door or before you walk out the door that you get a nice big tight hug in, and you know, maybe a kiss or whatever, but just some physical something as they're leaving or as you're leaving, and the same upon return. So if that can be the way that you're greeting someone, you know, after a long day, that's so much better than like, hey, the sink is clogged, you know, right? So prioritize their love language. So some cautions. One, In the same way that all of the other love languages, that if you speak that language, it kind of lifts somebody and it sets them soaring. If you do the opposite, it takes them plunging, right? So, not that physical abuse is ever okay by any stretch of the imagination. It is not. And if you're in a relationship where you are being physically abused, you need to go get help. But those harsh touches are going to take somebody who has a physical, a primary love language, a physical touch. It's going to be the opposite direction. So just keep that in mind. And if you are the person who is doing the harsh touching or the physical abuse, you need to go get help too. So, having said that, so let me look at my notes real quick. Okay. Ladies and men, sometimes we like our hair the way it is. And so if your significant other or your children or whoever has physical touch as their primary love language, but they are also kind of particular about their hair, I talked about tussling your hair a second ago. Don't mess with their hair, because even though they love physical touch, that may not be well received. The same way, I'm really weird about people touching my face, right? Like growing up, you always heard, don't touch your
Yeah.
face. It's the oils on your fingers can give you, oil on your
I'm the
face and give you
same
pimples.
way.
And so, I'm kind of funny about that. I don't like people touching my face. So I would say the biggest thing you can do, as with the other love languages, ask the person, hey, how is it especially meaningful for you for me to show you that I love you through physical touch? And let them say, oh, I love it when you hold my hand. I love it when we cuddle at night. I love it when I get a big hug from you. I love it when ... So
Yeah.
let them talk about it. And you know what? Just because that's the way they are right now doesn't mean that's the way they're going to be in 3 years. So revisit this periodically and just say, I know that you love it when I ... Is there anything else I can do that you really just love? And so those are kind of my thoughts on physical touch.
Sorry, my husband's about to walk in, so I told him, he texted me. I was like, walk in quietly, because the dogs are right under me. And
Okay.
I just know it's going to get crazy. So before that can happen, yes, that was good. Definitely think of the cautionary takes on physical touch. Like what you said, most girls honestly don't want to be touched in the face. Okay. And if you're
Right.
wearing makeup, a girl's wearing a makeup, she
Right.
definitely doesn't want I mean, I can't speak for everyone, but don't mess up her makeup. If
Mm-hmm.
a girl's hair is up, don't mess with it to where it falls down. Or if it's perfectly curled or perfectly straightened or something, don't go by and brush through it, because I would cry. I would be like, I just worked on my hair. But definitely think of the cautionary sides to it, because it can. Hammy, my bulldog, is literally on top of my foot, playing with it, and it kind of hurts. I don't understand. Okay. So, we have a women's business conference coming up in June, June
Yes.
24th. The tickets are pre-sale right now through March 15th, so be sure to snag those. We have some vendors. We have 3 key speakers who are going to be sharing a bit about business and just their stories. One of them we are here with today, Traci Poe. So we're super excited about that. I'm sick, so I'm already out of breath. I'm so sorry. I can't breathe through my nose.
That's okay.
And
And
yeah,
one
so
of the speakers we have coming on next
yes,
week.
yes.
And because it's February and the love month, even though Valentine's is over, she's going to be talking about love. So I'm really excited to bring her on.
I cannot wait to hear what she has to say. So stay tuned for the next few podcasts. Now you can watch them and you get to see our faces. Yay. We have so many guests coming on that you're going to hear their stories and get to see them and interact with them. And we'll link all of their stuff to communicate with them and reach out with them. We'll also link all of our stuff so you can communicate with us, follow us on all the social medias, get the tickets. If you're a guy listening and you want to get them for your wife, girlfriend, sister, boss, daughter, and she's in business or she cares about business, or in her, I don't know.
Even if you don't own your own business, still come if you are if you have a job, right? Because
Yeah, definitely.
it's, about helping make you successful. The other thing,
Yes.
before we get off of the love languages, since this is our last one, we do have the link to take the quiz in the description, and also some links to the books that are in the series. So if you want to grab a book, if you want to take the quiz, we highly recommend it. It does make a big difference in your relationships.
Yeah, definitely. So I hope everyone has enjoyed our last episode of the love languages. I love this series that we've done. I love the love languages. I think they're so good. So yeah, I hope everyone has enjoyed. Stay tuned for next week where we get to speak with one of our guests. So, can you hear my dogs? Yeah, they're fighting. Okay. Not like fighting, but like playing. Anyways, I hope everyone has a great week, and we will see y'all and chat with y'all next Monday.
Okay.